Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's League Cup tie away at Burton, and we're also going to speak about the Reading draw on Saturday.
So we'll go back to Saturday then first, Dan. 1-1 with Reading at home. A little bit disappointing. Frustration, I think, was the key word after fan cams. Would you agree with that?
Looking back, I think we got what we deserved because we didn't finish them off. We had most of the game, albeit they had a very good chance in the first half with a bit of a scramble and a very good chance in the second half with a bit of a scramble as well. But we dominated possession. Which lacked a bit of penetration.
Yeah.
I thought we lacked that finishing touch, and the decision making in the final third at the moment is not good enough. You've got people overhitting passes, passing when they should be shooting when they should be passing. So yeah, I think you're right. It is frustrating because we know we're better than what we're showing, and really we should probably have 4 more points on the board. And you know what happens when you start to fall away from the teams towards the top. It's difficult to make up that ground. We've had an okay start, and it's been way better than the starts we've had in the last 2 seasons. But overall, I think there's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, I just started watching the highlights before we came on. I think the first clip was John McGinn when he went through on goal. If he squares that to Codger, you'd expect Codger scores, and it's 1-0 early doors, and it's those missed opportunities that you look back on and you sit there at the time going, I hope we don't regret that, and ultimately we did.
Yeah, and not picking on McGinn, but there was another moment in the second half towards the end of the game. I think it was still 1-0 at the time, where it opened up perfectly. He created the space for himself to have a shot, and he passed it to Horahan, and he wasn't in as good a position. So it's like I say, it's just that decision making in the final third that seems to really be letting us down at the moment. Codger quite often, without picking on him, he often makes the wrong decision, shoots when he should pass, and vice versa. So if we improve on that, we'll be a force. But I know a lot of people don't like Bruce, and there's a lot of people getting on his back. There's only so much he can do. Stuff like that, he cannot control players' decision making.
What do you think that decision making comes down to? Is it pressure? Is it an element of nervousness that you usually expect that a player will go through on goal like McGinn does, and he doesn't shoot, but he chooses to, and he doesn't quite hit it properly when Codger's in a better position. So what causes that? Why do they suddenly decide to, sometimes it's a pass, sometimes it's a shot?
I really don't know. I feel a bit like there's a bit of a lack of confidence in front of goal from some of our players at the moment. I mean, with all due respect, we have a lot of P-rollers, I feel, that just roll into the goalkeeper's arms. Doma had a couple in the second half when he came on as well. So, I mean, I think he's suffering from a lack of confidence for one, although he didn't start the game. But at the top level, I guess that's why players are, without being harsh, that's why certain players are at the top level, because every player we've got's a good footballer. Without a doubt, they're a good footballer, but it is that decision making that's the difference at the top level, and at the moment we're not making the correct decisions, and I think that's costing us.
Yeah, I saw a good tweet from somebody earlier actually, which I'm gonna read out now. So this was from @vintage_Villa. He says, look at it from this perspective: nearly 20 shots against Brentford, over 20 shots against Reading, just missing that final touch / end product, which usually comes with the team gelling. It's still quite a new team. Maybe it will click next week. I like that, so I could come back to it at a later date, but that's got over 100 likes as well. So is it just a case of that the team hasn't sort of quite gelled yet, and that's why we're in those final positions, that McGinn isn't confident in himself to shoot, and he squares it to Horahan because he thinks that Horahan is in a better position, but because he's not quite comfortable in himself yet?
I think it's a valid point, because last season you've got pretty much the core of the team remained the same throughout the whole season. We didn't make many changes, did we? The anchor man seemed to change, and the striker seemed to change, but really there was 9 people that were playing week in, week out towards the second half of the season. So you get to know each other's games, you know people's strengths and weaknesses, you know what kind of runs they like to make, where they like the ball. So from that respect, El Ghazi hadn't been with the team that long, so the players don't know much about his game. I would imagine McGinn's been there a month now. It's getting to know people and getting to know their game, and we will improve. But the worrying thing is that these are the fixtures you'd expect us to be winning. We do always seem to play better in the tougher games, to be fair, in the last 12 months or so, but these are the ones you expect us to be winning. Drawing away Ipswich when they've got 10 men for the whole of the second half isn't good enough, and chucking that away unnecessarily as well isn't good enough.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus from the tweets we've got so far, that yes, it's a decent start, and we've still got this unbeaten thing that I don't want to talk about too much, because 3 of those are draws that arguably we should have probably won all 3, thinking about it. I mean, definitely 2 of them. So the start, it's a good start compared to what we've had, but ultimately it's not as good a start as I'd expected us to have had. You've got to be looking at least 12 points from these first 5 games, and to only have 9, I think somebody said that you can win 3 and lose 2 and you get rid of all that unbeaten thing, but you get the same results anyway, so there's no point going on about it being an unbeaten run for too long, because points wise we could have done better.
I mean, at the start of the season my expectations were quite low because we hadn't really brought anyone in, so before that whole game, that first game, I've got to admit I was worried going into the season, but seeing the team that we've actually got on paper, and I know it does take time to gel, I do think that tweet is true, but we should have more points. You can take the Brentford point and you can look back and think, well, we've actually been lucky because we've scored some really late goals in a few games now. But we've kind of that counts for nothing when you're shipping a late goal against Reading and losing 2 points. I mean, I haven't really seen the penalty back from a decent angle to be able to tell you whether it was a penalty. I mean, Bruce said he pretty much hung Chester out to dry, didn't he? But I think he was doing that to prove a point, because we know that Chester's one of his favourites, and I think he's just trying to make an example of him because everyone knows he's one of his favourites, so the other players probably think, well, he digs me out when I do something wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
He's digging Chester out as well to prove a point, but it's very unlike him to dive in. But that's the story of the season so far at the back, really. Not from Chester, but in general. We've been very erratic at the back, and we had a scare with that big scramble, and Neelan's made 2 unbelievable saves. Some of the best saves I've ever seen at Villa Park, but again, it doesn't count for anything because you've then gone and conceded right at the end of the game and you've ended up dropping 2 points.
I think somebody said on fan cams, don't they, that it takes us to get into that position where we're a little bit shaken up to go, okay, we need to switch on here. But then I think, as you said, that we still went and conceded after that anyway, making those saves redundant. So yes, they were brilliant saves, and like you say, probably the best I've ever seen down at Villa Park. They were both great saves, but ultimately you draw the game 1-1 and people forget about that.
The first one's, I mean, the second one's a very good save, don't get me wrong, but the first one, to tip that up onto the bar from there, is absolutely unreal goalkeeping. Yeah. And that it will do him good that he's made a few good saves in the last couple of games, because obviously he'd made a mistake in the Ipswich game, so his confidence will be high now, which is a good thing. I mean, he won't play on Tuesday, as we all probably know, but it'll do him good now in the bedding in period that he's actually made these saves, and not just standard saves, top saves. So he'll only grow in confidence and stature now as well, Neil. And so that's one positive that I think we can pull from the last game. But overall, it is disappointing. I came away from that game really disappointed with how it unfolded, because we had the ball the majority of the second half, and we've not really made too much happen. I don't remember any clear-cut chances they missed, and that tells you that the decision-making isn't right at the moment. What
did you make of the team selection when you saw the tweet pop up from Villa at 2 o'clock, where you had Inaxel at centre-back, Elmo on the right, Twanzebe still at right back, players playing out of position? What did you think when you saw that? I must admit I was scrolling through my phone thinking, surely not again.
I mean, I expected it after the press conference, to be honest. It wasn't a great surprise to me. I still think Twanzebe at centre-back's a no-brainer. I mean, we don't know whether we'll bring a centre-back in. I would have thought unlikely. I mean, Yednat wasn't the problem on Saturday. You talk about him playing centre-back, that's the kind of game that suits him at centre-back, because we'll have the majority of the ball. All he'll have to really do is win headers from goal kicks, and essentially he did that. So for that kind of game, it's not the problem. But I like Twanzebe. I think he's going to be a very, very good defender, but for me, he isn't a right-back. He's not good enough coming forward to be a right-back. You've got Hutton, who's not really a left-back, although he did very well last season. I don't think he's had the best last few games. I think he's looked a bit shaky the last couple of games. I know he was playing with a broken nose on Saturday, which may not have helped things. I don't think Elmo's a right midfielder as well as he's doing, and he's probably up for Player of the Month in the first month of the season. I mean, he scored 2 goals and he arrived in the box very, very well, but I don't really think he's a right midfielder. I don't think you'll see the best of him.
I think we've got better options at right midfield is the problem as well. I don't think it's necessarily that El Mohammadi isn't that good a right midfielder, because he's doing all right so far. I just think there's better options, and we're not seeing those yet.
I mean, Balassi and El Ghazi will be the 2 wingers now.
Yeah.
When they're both fully fit, they will be the 2 that start, and you'll have a Dome on the bench, and I'm sure at that point El Mohammadi will move back to right back and Twanzebe across, because Bruce has got his favourites, and El Mohammadi is undoubtedly one of his favourites. There's no way he doesn't play. So he'll be back to right back, and Balassi and El Ghazi on the wings should cause teams problems. I thought El Ghazi had a good debut. He got an assist. I mean, he celebrated like he'd scored a goal from his assist. I don't know whether you noticed that. He was like blowing kisses. He was blowing kisses to the whole end off his assist. It was a lovely ball in. He was screaming out to be headed in by someone, and luckily El Mohammedi's done that, but he'll only get there. I was a bit disappointed to see him get taken off, because I know fitness is probably an issue, and backroom staff will know about the fitness stuff more than me, but
Yeah.
I really felt like he was just starting to get in the game and make an impact, and then he comes off for Adoma, and I worry a bit for Andre Green now. I don't know where his football is going to come from this season, because he's down the pecking order now, isn't he?
Yeah, you sort of half expect that, because I remember that there was a point when we all thought we were going to lose the majority of our players, and you were thinking, oh, well, at least we'll get to see some youth this season, and that's a slight positive to hold on to. But then you look at it now, and we've talked loads of times about not having enough wide players. So we've brought 2 in, so naturally that means that Green does go down the pecking order now, which is a shame, but he's still only a young kid. And to think that at one point we were thinking, oh, these guys are going to be starting, like your Hepburn Murphys and Dor Hayeses and all these sort of people. They're not going to now, because we've got into a position where we can make signings again, where at one point we didn't think we could. So naturally those players are going to go down the pecking order, although I do think it is a little bit of a shame for players like Green, and obviously like we've talked about before, people like Horahan, who started last year, scored 11 goals was that, I think, and now all of a sudden he's nowhere to be seen and probably starts in this cup game now for rotation purposes.
I mean, you take Horahan and Adoma out, I think that's about 26 goals from last season, so the new guys are going to have to replace that productivity. I think Adoma's lost form, if I'm being honest, but
I think that was back into last season as well.
Yeah, back into last season he wasn't at his best, but he had a phenomenal first half of the season and won us games almost single-handedly with his goal output. To be fair, Connor has been harshly treated, in my opinion. McGinn's a very, very good player and will be an excellent signing. As I've said many times, I still think McGinn, Jack and Connor can all play in the same team. I don't think there's that need for the holding midfielder, because behind some players there and he still comes forward. So Horahan could do that job in my opinion, and you've got the added bonus that he's probably going to get double figures in goals. But he's been dropped having not done a lot wrong. He started the season well, got a few assists, he scored in the last round of the cup, and he's just found himself completely out the team and out the picture. And I thought he was actually our best player in the second half when he came on, because he presses at the right times and he actually tries to play the forward pass. He's prepared to risk giving the ball away to try and come forwards. It felt like we were a bit one-dimensional, just passing the ball side to side, and he was almost too patient in trying to unlock that Reading defence. But Connor will always try and play a ball through and make something happen, and he's got the added bonus that he is good for a goal, so he'll feel pretty hard done by being out the side. But hopefully that's the good thing with these cup games, it gives people a chance to try and stake a claim. But I think Bruce does have his favourites, so I'd be surprised to see that McGinn and Grealish partnership broken up, and I don't think he'll play Connor at anchorman. So for me, that's a worry, because that's 11 goals out the side.
So going on to the Burton fixture now, just seeing some news from the Birmingham Mail. John McGinn and Jack Grealish are set to be assessed this week after sustaining knocks in Villa's draw with Reading, with Steve Bruce unsure if they'll be fit for Sheffield United away, which is obviously the next league game, so you'd expect both of those miss Burton as well, and I think we'd have both agreed they wouldn't have played anyway. Can we sort of agree on some kind of team for tomorrow night's game? I think we've already decided Horahan and Moreira will be playing, but who else makes the team?
I mean, Jack with a dead leg, I believe it's a dead leg he's got. I wouldn't have thought that would be more than a week. No. So you'd think he'd be back for Saturday. I've got no idea on McGinn's injury. But neither of them would have played anyway, as you say. But the worrying thing is, if they're doubtful for Saturday and you then play Connor and he gets injured, you're then looking even shorter. For Saturday, and Saturday's the priority in a really tough game away at Sheffield United, to be fair. So team-wise, I think Moreira will be in goal. I'm trying to think who played in the last round. Delat, right back. Taylor, left back. Twanzebe and Elphick. Yeah, I'd go with that as the back four. I'd arguably be happy with that as the back four, apart from Chester in the league.
Yeah.
Midfield, Whelan, Lansbury and Connor, and then wings, Madoma and Green and Hepburn Murphy up front again, I would think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's a decent enough team to get through this round.
Well, what about Balassi though? I've missed Balassi out, haven't I, like an idiot.
Is he fit enough to be back in straight away?
Someone said in the comments that he'd had no pre-season, but you'd give him a game. He's not playing for the under-23, so how's he going to get game time?
Yeah, I mean, if he's fit, he has to play some minutes on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, arguably as well, you'd try and play El Ghazi to give him some extra minutes as well, in my opinion, but
I think in Balassi's interview, I think he said that he wasn't fit just yet.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong on that.
Well, we'll go with what I said originally then. Decent. I mean, it's a second string side at the moment, isn't it? Because there's only Twanzebe that played on Saturday out of that list that I've gone through. So, I mean, it doesn't say much for people like James Bray, who isn't going to get a game even when we change the whole 11 virtually.
Yeah.
So it's bad for him. I still think he needs to go out on loan, Bray.
So as I mentioned earlier in the video, we're going to go over some tweets that people have sent in, more so about the Reading game and the season so far. But before we get to that, we're going to do a Burton prediction. Obviously, a League Cup. We don't know a fat lot about Burton. There isn't massive interest about this League Cup game, so we're not going to spend too much time going over Burton's team or anything. So Dan, you want to go first. How do you think this game goes on Tuesday?
I will go 3-2 Villa in extra time.
Oh God, I do not like the sound of that at all.
That's a wild Rollo prediction, that is.
Can you even go to extra time? Isn't it straight to penalties?
Straight to penalties, isn't it? Just 3-2 then. I'll go 3-2 Villa.
Okay, 3-2 90 minutes.
Let me do that again. I'll go for a wild 3-2 to Villa. Late goal again for Villa this time.
I mean, I can't react to that in the same way because I know that you got it wrong, so I might just have to leave the first bit in.
No.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of 3-2 at all. I don't want us to be conceding 2 goals to Burton, whatever the team plays.
I mean, we were lucky not to concede that many goals in the last round, to be fair.
I know, but I think we said before that at some point, those games where we concede 1 or 2 goals every game, we need to sort of wean those out a little bit.
I don't think
and
it'll be
that needs to start at some point, but I don't think we get there until we settle on our back four properly. I don't know. I'd be disappointed if we conceded 2 goals. If your prediction came off, obviously I'll be happy with the win, but conceding 2 doesn't sound nice. So I'm going to go more mental than you, and I'm going to go 4-0 Villa.
Wow. I mean, we went there and won 4-0 in the league last season.
Yeah, maybe that's where I've got it from. Just keep the clean sheet, score a couple of goals, and sort of start again.
I don't see a clean sheet incoming, unfortunately, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
So have I. So we'll go on to these tweets that people sent in earlier. I put a tweet out on the Villa View saying, thoughts on the Reading game and our start to the season, please, Aston Villa fans. We'll start with James Rushton, friend of the show. Odd one. Points on the board, but we've not really seemed to get going. Not sure what's going on. All seems a little bit messy. Is that due to just new players coming in and the team changing quite a lot?
I remember we've kind of covered that already, but yeah, I do think there's reasons for it. I think I'd have been more than satisfied with our start had we won on Saturday. I think that draw on Saturday's taken the gloss off it because we're unbeaten, but like you say, you could have lost 2 games and won 3 games, and you'd be at the same kind of point. So we've drawn 3 in a row now as well, haven't we? So we haven't won for 3 games if you look at it that way. So I'm slightly underwhelmed with our start. I think we should be doing better.
I'm sure this is one for a talking point in the comments. This is from @DocComicBook. Mile Jedinak is not a centre-back. Mile Jedinak is not a centre-back. Mile Jedinak is not a centre-back. Thoughts? I
mean, he's not. He's a defensive midfielder, isn't he? But like I said, on Saturday, I don't think he was the major issue. Arguably one of our better players. On Saturday, I don't think he did too much wrong. So he's a centre-back in certain games, I would say, but the 4 before that, perhaps, I think that it's fair to say, he's not a centre. I know he didn't play the first one, actually, Elphick played. But it's more the fact, I think, what must Tommy Elphick be thinking? That's my main thing that I'm taking away from Jedinak playing there, because it's not Jedinak's position and it is Tommy Elphick's position. He scored in the first game, didn't really celebrate. So I think that must have been a last-minute change. Him coming in, he must have known that he wasn't starting unless Jedinak was sick and he was annoyed. That's what I take from that celebration. So the takeaway from the Jedinak situation is it just doesn't say much for Tommy Elphick, and if I was Tommy Elphick, I wouldn't be very happy. My
battery's just gone on the camera as well. Oh no, it's not battery, it's overheating. Maybe I'll just do him as voiceover and put the tweet up on my face and just keep you on. So this one's from Patrick Doherty first. He says, people are overreacting. It's not an idyllic start, but look at last season, keep the faith and up the Villa. There's so many positives. Super John McGinn isn't even at his best yet, which is exciting. Elmo actually looks very good. Neelan's confidence is growing and Codger's scoring. We just need to work on our decision making.
There is positives. There's definitely things that I'm happy with. Like I say, I think for me, it's that late draw on Saturday has really taken away from the start of the season. And I look at that as a real disappointment, and I came away feeling very deflated off the back of that game, because you shouldn't be drawing with Reading at home, and if you've got desires of automatic promotion, you cannot draw with Reading at home, because we're going to have to claw back 3 points from somewhere unlikely now. Like, for example, do we go into Sheffield and winning now, which will be a tough game? They're starting to look better, and I think they're a dangerous side that will be up there come the end of the season. So we're going to have to go there and get a result now, otherwise it really is negative. Even if we get a draw there now, it's 4 draws in a row, which isn't ideal. And to be honest, I'd take a point at Sheffield United, I think. So that game on Saturday's ruined the start for me.
So then, in a slightly different opinion to Patrick's one just then, we've got at Hambo Joe. He says, the easiest start of any team and we are 4 points off the top. We've only played 45 minutes of decent football this season, and you can bet that this will not be rectified by Bruce, as he's had 2 years and hasn't evolved at all, still making mind-boggling decisions and needs to go. Also, fans shouting about us being unbeaten is a disgrace. The reason is because we are yet to face the top sides this season. Compare Bielsa's Leeds to us and you'll really see how Bruce is holding us back. Their team isn't above ours, but their manager is. Is that a fair comment?
Bielsa's a top manager. I mean, if you're one of Pep's heroes, you're obviously a good manager. He's managed into a high level for a long time. He's got his own techniques, he's got his own way of playing, and he's gone there to Leeds and it's immediately happened. I think with Bruce that you're not going to get that. We knew that from day one that we weren't going to get. He's not going to come here and play free-flowing football. He's going to play you football that he thinks gives you the best chance of getting promoted. And we've won more than we've lost in general since he's been here. But I get that. I think we should have gone up last season and we didn't. So I get that ultimately that's a failure. But I don't think you're not going to sack a manager when you're 4th in the league. If that's where we still are, I can't remember where we are. If you're 4th in the league, you're not going to sack that manager, and I think he'll keep us in and around. I think we'll be top 6, and I think he'll keep us in the top 6 pretty much all season. Like after our bad start, like he did last season. If we win, I'm not particularly bothered about how we play, but then I guess that's two-faced because we didn't play well. Well, I'm saying we didn't play well. We weren't effective on Saturday, and I've come away disappointed and frustrated. So it's 50-50. I think at the games, I don't get the impression that the fans want Bruce out. But on social media, it feels like everyone pretty much wants him out. I don't want him out, and I'll take stick for that. But it's just my opinion that I think if you bring another manager in, you're not guaranteed that they'll keep you in the top 6 hunt. And I think Bruce will. I think the players like Bruce as well. He's a good man manager, which I think is important. At Villa, we always seem to have a quite fragile dressing room, and perhaps if Bruce goes, the dressing room suddenly ends up all over the place. I think he's done more good than bad since he's been here, but I get that people want to see nicer football. And I think against Brentford in the main, we did that, which is again why the Reading thing's so disappointing, because you play good football against a side like Brentford, and then against Reading, it's a bit turgid again, and the decision making's poor. But I get that people want to see us win more than we have done so far this season.
Just going back to how you said that they're not going to sack a manager who's sat in 4th, could there be any comparisons drawn between that situation and what Birmingham did with Gary Rowett? I'm not saying the football's the same, but they were in a good position when they chose to get rid of him to go down a different route, and obviously, as we know now, that didn't work, and that is the risk that the new owners will take. If they decide to make a decision, it might not work in your favour, but there's also the other side of the coin that you suddenly do kick on and you go from 4th to top.
Yeah, I mean, that was the worst sacking I've ever seen. So it is sometimes the better the devil, They got rid of Rowett and brought in Zola, and it was an absolute car crash.
Yeah.
It's my personal opinion, and it's there to be shot down. And I get that people aren't going to agree with it, but at the moment, I think he's probably the best man for the job still. If we don't go this season, I'll want to change. I'll definitely want to change, because we should be. I still think with this side now, we should be going up. I thought it last season. I can just about forgive last season the way it happened in the playoffs, although I thought we were atrocious in the first half of the playoff. It does feel like there's no middle ground. We're either great, or we're terrible. I'd like to see a bit more middle ground.
That's the same game sometimes,
because you'll still win games with the middle ground, but we do seem to be great or bad in general, and that's something that I think needs rectifying. But I do think he'll rectify the stuff that's bad this season. I think it's just taken a bit more time than anticipated.
This is from @Pongo Villa. He says, it took 2 months for Bruce to stumble on a winning formula last season, and only then it was because of injuries. Can we really wait again? Why can't he just pick an attacking-minded team? The points being dropped now will be the difference by the end of the season. So frustrating.
But I think every team feels like that in the Championship.
Yeah.
And there'll be other games where we go, I can't believe we beat Derby 5-0 that you didn't expect to win, for example, like when we beat Wolves and Bristol last year.
Yeah.
Those are wins we didn't expect to get and did. So over the course of the season, I do think those things do even out, but things have to improve.
Also with Bruce, I think you'll get 6-7 game runs of winning, like we did a couple of times last season, or 6-7 unbeaten, which will shoot you up the table. So it is all about consistency at the end of the season. I think in the Championship, Wolves and Cardiff were the most consistent last season. That's why they went up, and that's what we need to find more of. You'll drop points. You'll have games where you don't take anything, or you draw where you think, oh God, we should have won there. Every team will get that, but at the end of the day, it comes down to consistency. And a good thing is we're not losing. So from that respect, that's pretty consistent that we haven't lost a game yet. I mean, I think that the AVFC officials should be advertising the fact that we're unbeaten when we've just chucked away a draw in the last minute with a penalty. No, but we are unbeaten.
Nope.
If we win more than we lose, we'll be up there, up the autos.
Finally then, I will read these two at the same time because this camera has now died. At Josh Hans 16 says, looking at our squad, why can't we be pushing for top 2? We have a more attacking squad than last season, but it's also the defensive errors that are costing us, and also the fact that we aren't able to kill off games. We are inviting pressure in the 90th minute when we should have won easily. And to follow on from that, Daniel Southall, frustrating, but the attacking intent is there. Defence desperately needs attention. Jedinak is not a centre-back, but it looks like Bruce is persisting. Would like a lone left-back and a striker. We are not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're crying out for a proper left-back. Joe Bryan would have been an unreal signing for us, and I think that would have helped. I think that would have definitely helped us. I think we'll be challenging top 2. I genuinely think that. I think it will click at some point. The squad on paper is too good not to get top 2. I think it's arguably better than last season. I'd still like to see John Terry in there, but I don't think that's going to happen. But other than that, I'd say it's arguably better when you've got Balassi and El Ghazi fully fit. It's arguably better, isn't it? Connor played most games last week, and he looks like he's going to be on the bench because I don't think Bruce will break up McGinn and Grealish. So the squad there is still strong. He looks like he's learnt rotation wise as well, although I feel he's doing it a bit too much at the moment. But I do think we'll be pushing top 2 this season, and I really do. So that's it. Thank you for watching today's Burton preview. That isn't really a Burton preview, just really pretty much going over the start of the season and the Reading game from the weekend. If you have enjoyed this video, then make sure you're giving it the big old thumbs up and comment below with your thoughts on our start, and do you care about the League Cup? Do let us know in the comments. If you're not already subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, if you could do that as well, that really helps the channel grow, and we all at the Villa View really appreciate that. Tom Julian and myself will be in the booth on Wednesday night, so that podcast should be with you in all the usual formats by Thursday, so watch out for that when it comes live. Thank you ever so much for all your support you give the channel. We really appreciate it. As I say, stick with the channel, stick with the Villa, up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another one? Click one of the video options on screen now, and if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.